We're jumping right in. Welcome to the Wonton Wednesday podcast. Good friend of mine, Jo Hyatt, and she has a great story to tell. Super fucking smart, super interesting, and she's done her research. And I say that because she's just like, I just came up with a quick 3-page outline of what I wanted to discuss here. I'm like, you could have gave me 3 sentences out loud and I would have been just as fucking happy. Read through it and it's fucking fantastic. We're going to go in and first lady on the podcast.
First lady, yeah.
First lady of the podcast.
Yes.
Welcome. Also
Yes.
the first Virgo, I
Yes,
think.
yes, I think so. Welcome, my uterus.
All right. So, you said you wanted to start by giving us the short background of how you landed here, and then we're going to dive right in. So
Right on.
whenever you're ready and however comfortable you feel with giving us everything.
Right on. Well, when I first got perked up to really the injustices and the lack of availability of good food and good resources in a country like this was when I was a insurance agent in Washington and in Oregon. I was a licensed insurance agent. So I worked with the veterans, like the VFW and the American Legion and those organizations, and we kind of helped to fill the gaps where the insurance wasn't there for the soldiers, right? So we tried to do affordable packages so that they could at least get buried when they died. Mm-hmm. So anyway, but when I was there doing this job, I was seeing these veterans in these horrible situations, these really horrible conditions that they were living in due to a lot because of what they faced in combat, right? So my heart really went out to these veterans. So that kind of planted the seed as like, where are the breaks in our system here? Where are the gaps? Why are these guys falling through the gaps when they so selflessly volunteered their lives, right? So and if we're not treating our soldiers, if this is how we're treating our soldiers, how are we treating our everyday citizens, right? So fast forward, I had a little too much time on my hand, and I was a little too self-destructive at that time of my life, and I ended up getting drunk on a 4-wheeler. I don't know if you've ever done that.
Yes. At the same time, or drinking and then getting on? Both.
I think both. I think I did both that night because boy, did I regret it, because I got a really bad accident and I ended up with a brain injury as a result. And I ended up having to I lost my job, and all these things happened where I was just kind of destitute, right? And then I was able to get on Washington State Insurance, luckily. And Washington is awesome with their state insurance.
Okay.
So then I was able to get the medical attention and things that I needed so that I could thrive instead of just survive, right? And I had a really cool neurologist from India, and she kind of was like, because I was kind of resistant to the medications, and then I ended up with a seizure disorder and the seizure medications and stuff, where I wasn't able to drive, and I lost my independence, and because they were trying to loop me into this pharmaceutical kind of cyclone, right? And so
this one takes care of this side effect, which gives you this side effect, which you take care of with this side effect, with this one and this one and this one, and around and around and around, and it just keeps getting bigger, and it looks like this cover of The Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails.
Yes, correct. That's exactly what I meant. Yeah, so I had a really cool neurologist, and she said, do you want to try CBD? I said, yeah, I'll try CBD. Mm-hmm. And I found that the CBD was more effective for my seizures, and I could use it as needed as opposed to the Keppra, which I wasn't able to drive on, right? So, and from there, I got a job at Natural Grocers, which is a really big organic grocery store. And they are really huge around community education when it comes to supplements and vitamins and good foods, right? And And so I learned a lot from them. And I was able to take my healing game to the next level using things like lion's mane and bacopa and getting the right vitamins and supplements in my diet. And I felt amazing. And I threw my pharmaceuticals away. And I haven't had so much as an aspirin in over 10 years.
Did you wean off those, or did you go cold turkey?
I had to wean. I had to wean. The Keppra, you can't just be cold turkey. If you cold turkey a seizure medication, it will induce seizures. So I had to wean myself out and then replace with CBD. And then I was on a CBD regimen where I was taking it every single day. And now I'm to the point where I'm taking it as needed. If I'm waking up and I'm feeling a little tired or dizzy, or or if I'm a little stressed out, I'll make sure I get some extra CBD in my diet that day, because it really does. It just whoosh, and one of those things that hemp and cannabis and CBD, were outlawed and demonized, and they're finding that they're doing all these wonderful things and replacing pharmaceuticals. Hence the backlash, the big old pharmaceutical companies.
I know the big one now with a lot of military dudes is the CBN over Ambien.
Right. Now, CBN is a really cool cannabinoid. It's present in a lot of our indicas. So we have indica cannabis and we have sativa cannabis, right? And so our indica is like in the couch. It's supposed to be really mellow. It's going to be like your body high. And CBN is present in that. There's 113 different cannabinoids in each plant, and they're all arranged differently. So if you have a sativa plant, it's going to have more CBG and not as much CBN. And CBG is that cannabinoid that makes you giggle, right? Yeah. And so it makes you laugh. And if you got too many receptors in your body, because you also have cannabinoid receptors that are lined up differently. That's why if you smoke a Granddaddy Purple and I smoke a Granddaddy Purple Kush, we might have different effects because you have different receptors that receive. You might have more CBN receptors, so you're hungry and sleepy. I might not have as many, so I'm cleaning the house on a Granddaddy Perp. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's just, that's the science behind cannabis, and CBD is amazing. And there's been so much backlash from the FDA, the U.S. Agricultural Department, and also, the medical industrial complex. And there's just, this research is undeniable, and they're getting called on their shit, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, the Wikipedia defines the medical industrial complex is a network of interactions between pharmaceutical corporations, healthcare personnel, and medical conglomerates to supply health-related products and service for profit. And I think that's really where, when we're doing things for profit instead of the betterment of the patient, that's really where we get stuck in really bad choices, what I'm saying? So, I mean, we've all been there, right? Where we go to the doctor for one thing and we have to go to a specialist and pay a copay, and then we got to go to this and pay, and then they want to do this medication that isn't as effective as this other medication, but the insurance company will only cover this medication. We'll see if that suffices, right? We'll see if the medication that we're going to put you on that the doctor says is inferior but costs less. So insurance companies are making decisions, right? They're making decisions for the patients with no medical background, no medical training, and their decisions are trumping the decisions of a trained medical staff, which I find absolutely repulsive.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we've got insurance company calling the shots for profit. Yeah, instead of let's do the best thing for the patient, right?
So another thing with the profits is that the way America sets prices is that against Medicare. Mm-hmm. And Medicare is not allowed to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies for the price of drugs. So the price of drugs is set by the pharmaceutical company. So basically, they just get to come in and say, it costs whatever it is. I'm just going to arbitrarily say, this is $60 a pill. You're welcome. It's going to solve all the world's problems.
Right.
And that's the way they present it. And then they also, I think us and maybe one other country are the only ones where pharmaceutical companies are allowed to directly advertise to the consumer. Yeah,
no other countries are allowing them to do that. And when I was in college, and I had a communications degree, but I had veered my field work to health communications. So I did my internship at an AIDS clinic. We were a Health Nut, which was it was a low economic clinic. We took people pro bono. We took people, that were not doing well economically, that were kind of, homeless. And then also we had a lot of drug addicts that we were serving and stuff. And the pharmaceutical companies would come in there, buy everybody lunch. I mean, and we're not a hospital. We're not a big, huge conglomerate hospital and stuff. And the pharmaceutical companies, because we were buying HIV drugs at the highest fucking dollar,
right,
was taking us out to, as an intern, I got a $30 lunch and a cocktail from a pharmaceutical company.
Which is nothing to them. Nothing, right? So I had an opportunity because of my degree, a health communications degree, I could have gone into within the pharmaceutical companies. But, after dealing with some of those reps, I just felt like I needed a rape shower. You know what I mean? Yep.
Absolutely did not feel like these. And then you see the list of all the things, right? The side effects when they do the marketing, they do the advertising. It's like causes a dry mouth, your balls could fall off, your hair grows in your ears, you know what I mean? Slight blindness, but hey, you can fuck, right? Like what? Like, I'm sorry. I think that the ends do not justify the means here when it comes to some of these pharmaceuticals. When you can get the same effect, by taking supplements and vitamins and eating right.
Taking charge of your own health and unfucking yourself.
Yeah. And I had to do that. And you know what? Because I was eating clean and I was taking care of my body in a way that I had never done before, because I was part of the American culture and all the if it says healthy, good for you, you got to turn it around and look at the freaking back, because 9 times out of 10, if it's a prepackaged item and it's on American shelves, there's some bullshit in there.
Oh, fuck yes.
When we were talking about this podcast originally, we were saying, hey, let's make the title be "Let Thy Food Be Thy Medicine," because we can talk about the medical industrial complex, but they're a result, or they're around because of the culture. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. America's one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We have the shittiest health record. Yes. We are on the bottom when it comes to life expectancy. We are on the bottom when it comes to infant fatalities. We are on the bottom when it comes to obesity. Well, no, we're on the top. We're on the bottom when it comes to healthy weight. You know what I mean? So we have a population of children where in some regions 80% of them are obese. These are children, and we know what obesity leads to, right? It leads to hypertension, diabetes, a shorter life expectancy, right? We have the technology and the knowledge right now where our life expectancy should be 90 years old. But because of the bad education, the fucking shitty ass policing of the FDA,
yep,
and shitty foods. Honestly, once I cleaned my shit up and stopped eating packaged food, I stunk for weeks. And I went to my natural health coach and I said, what's going on with me? I stopped eating shitty. I'm eating clean and I stink. She's like, your body is pushing out the toxins.
Yeah.
So I physically, and then it's like when I got done with that 3 weeks of just eating really clean and my face was glowing. You want to know if your diet's good, look at your skin. Mm-hmm. Look at your skin. Your skin is the largest organ on your body, and and if your skin is in some way, shape, or form in disease, we say disease, mm-hmm. That's a big indication that you're eating either something you shouldn't or not eating something enough that you should.
Yes.
Right. So, And
skin and fingernails too.
Fingernails, because that these are your byproducts. This is what your body's kicking out, right? Your fingernails. So if they're weak, what's in your diet, right?
Well, if there's divots, and there's odd lines, are the 3 big indicators,
right? That you're not getting enough,
discolored.
or because you're not getting enough of what you actually fucking need in your body, right? So now, unfortunately, as we slide on in, medical industrial complex is evil. We know that, right? The industrial complex, that term we know was actually created in 1969. It was inspired by Eisenhower's famous speech, the military industrial complex, right? So we, which he warned us that was going to go to shit, and it has, right? And I saw it firsthand, right? Because once again, I think the corruptive component there is for profit, right? Right. And I'm not saying that the researchers and the hospitals shouldn't earn a profit. I'm saying that should not be the first priority when it comes to treating people, right? And so when we get into the healthcare system, right, that's a conflict of interest, right? And unfortunately, also what I've noticed with my conditions and going in and out of doctor's offices trying to figure out my own shit, not one fucking doctor until I met that Indian lady, that neurologist, asked me about my diet.
Yeah, I've never been asked about my diet by any doctor.
I actually talked to a doctor about that. And out of their 8 years of schooling, they have one elective for healthy food.
Seriously?
All right. So that right there, yeah, seriously. Unless you are a naturopath or you go into that kind of medicine, there is no schooling behind diet, which is funny because I firsthand have healed my body because of diets and supplements. Because I said, I will not live on pharmaceuticals. I want my independence. I will not be told I cannot heal my own body. And so, but we are so conditioned to believe what the doctor has to say. And we're so conditioned. I was born in the 70s. The doctor was like, there was the ministers, there was the doctors, they were, they held, a really high place in society. And as they're selling out and getting bought out by these pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies, and not making the right choices for their customers, essentially is what we've become. We're not patients anymore. We're customers.
And that's another problem, is that with the doctors thing, is that we're customers to them now. And so we can walk away and find another doctor that will tell us what we want to hear or give us the pill that we want. So
exactly.
They're trying to keep you by not putting you on blast and saying, hey, maybe you should clean up your diet. And then they're also incentivized because of, like you said earlier, pharmaceutical companies are courting them, where it's just like, I'm going to get more of a kickback if I prescribe this. So here you go. Have some Ozempic. You don't have to change your diet.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. 100%, Steve-O. 100%. And that's the conflict of interest right there, right? That's why it has become very dangerous to have a chronic illness in this country.
Yeah.
They want to keep you sick enough so you keep on taking the pills, but nobody is talking about healing. And now the FDA is going after the supplement and the vitamins companies. They've been doing that for years. They allow 72 ingredients that are banned in every other country in the world in our ingredients, in our prepackaged foods. But yet they're going after vitamin C because they think that the potency is too high. You know what? You can take up to 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day without any fucking I mean, you can't sustain that, but if you were sick, say you were sick and you were trying to knock out, that's as good as an antibiotic. Is if you take 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C, you're taking about 1,000 milligrams an hour for about 10 hours. You do that for a couple of days. You're going to stink, like we talked about before. It's going to push that infection out, but you won't need to go to get an antibiotic. You'll be good as new in 2 days if you do 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C for 2 days. Now, do you want to keep doing that? No, because it's kind of hard on your body, right? Because you know what I mean? You're cleaning your body out. That's obviously a detox. But to go after vitamin C, to go after vitamin D, when other countries were prescribing vitamin D during the COVID administration, where was our country when it came to vitamin D? Where was our country when it said, hey, why don't you not eat as much sugar because that causes inflammation and fucks with your immune system?
Well, they also said stay inside, which what's my favorite source of vitamin C is fucking standing outside.
Yeah, vitamin D outside. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The most natural thing we have on earth, sunlight.
Yeah, stay inside, hanker down, eat your sugar, watch your Netflix. And in the culture that we have, I mean, I feel like there's a big divide. We've got people that are kind of anti-technology and are all outside or back to nature, don't even have a Facebook. And then on the other spectrum, we have people that are all technology all day. I used to have a roommate. I didn't see him for 12 hours. He was an IT guy. He was either working on his computer, playing games. I mean, we were in Denver. The sun was closer to the earth. I had a nice little golden tan all the time, but this guy looked like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings, right? And he's this handsome 25-year-old guy, right? And here he is hiding in the basement on the computer in the middle of the sunniest fucking city in the world. No, thank you. Right? And I get that the technology is unavoidable. We're going to keep going into we're going to become more and more dependent on it. But you're old enough, Steve,
yes,
that you remember when we actually had to use fucking Thompson guide maps. Yeah. Nobody had a fucking GPS.
I remember it was probably still up until like 2007 where at every state on the thruway where it changed to the next state and then there was their rest area, you could grab the state's road map.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, because that's the only way you were going to get from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. I was a stand-up comic in the early 90s before there was technology, and so I remember being out in the middle of nowhere because you have to really pay your dues if you want to do stand-up comedy. So you're in one shitty town after another,
yes.
And luckily at that point in time I was drinking a lot. So I quit drinking because I was so good at it. I was bad at it. But that was when my liver was just laid in there. You know what I mean? It was it was fresh.
Get away with a lot.
It was fresh. I could handle a hangover for 45. Forget it. Forget it.
Can't drink like that anymore either.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Marine Corps.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Marine Corps. Yes.
And thank you for Miller Lite for just putting pallets of that stuff just right inside the PX. Because that's what it was. It was literally just like, oh, they didn't even bother. They just drove a pallet in. This is great.
So I know, right? So not to go back on topic, but I'm a Virgo, so I'm going to go back on topic. But I just want a few highlights before we go into packaged foods, because you're going to just shit yourself when I tell you what the USA allows in our foods. So just some highlights on our medical industrial complex. So the U.S. spends more on healthcare as a share of the economy, nearly twice of the average of any other civilized country. Or it's not civilized, it's developed. How do you say? What's the PC on that one?
First world country.
First world. Is it first world? Is it developed, underdeveloped? Is it in? I'm not sure. Anyway, I didn't mean
the difference between first, second, and third worlds, and it's a Cold War era term.
Yeah.
So first world is America and its allies. Second world was Russia and those that aligned with them, and then third world was any country not aligned with either of the other two.
Yeah.
So third world country is just like a weird term to me, where I'm just like, so those South African nations that we call third world countries, they're just not aligned with anyone? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I know, right? It's like, okay, where are those guys going? What club are they in?
Pretty much. It's like, they're in their own club.
They're in their own club. Well, here's a fun fact about the U.S. They have the lowest life expectancy in the top 11 developed
Yes.
countries, and they have the highest suicide rates. Now, I know we don't, when we're talking about physical health,
Mental health and physical health are linked.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to get at. And when we talk about the preservatives that are in some of these foods that are banned in other countries, the fact that they are affecting us neurologically, and they are also they're aggravating already mental illnesses that are present. They're aggravating and making them worse. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't surprise me that we have the highest suicide rates, is what I'm saying. That there is a link between that and the prepackaged foods, which we as Americans eat 30% more prepackaged foods than any other fucking country on the planet. So, and which would be okay if the corporations behave themselves in this country, and they put ingredients that were appropriate for human consumption in these products, but because of greed and because of they want things to last longer, so they put preservatives in there so they have a longer shelf life, and they get some kickback, I think, from these companies that are still allowed to fucking flourish, that are producing red dye number 40 and yellow dye number 5 and some of the preservatives that really, really cause some postmodern illnesses.
Yes.
So the U.S. has the highest chronic disease burden. We have the highest obesity rates, 2 times higher. We're 2 times higher than any other country. Not even the highest. We're double as high of any other country. American use some of the most expensive technologies. We actually do one thing right. You know what we do right? We do, and we got to thank the Pink Ribbon Brigade for this. We catch the most breast cancers.
Okay.
So we do that right. We do the best at pre-screening women between 50 and 69 for breast cancer. So we catch breast cancer quicker than any other country. But then again, that's a specialist. That's a copay. That's, you're this age, then you need to get a mammogram. That's kind of a, you know what I mean? That's it's been, we all have lumps. I'm a chick. I got great big titties. I got lumps in my titties. I've had them checked out. A lot of them are fatty tumors or whatnot, or if you drink too much fucking coffee, you'll have lumpy titties. But like, they want me because I have fat deposits to check my tits out every fucking year, and I don't want that radiation going into my breasts.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like those nurses put the big lead things on themselves while they're, you know what I mean? Like, because they don't want to be exposed to that radiation over and over again. And this is just my theory. I don't know if this is not backed up by any facts or anything. But I kind of feel like if you're putting all that radiation in your tit over and over again, that might, if there are lumps, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Might make them act funny. That's all I'm saying. And so if I find new lumps, do I get a sonogram, or not a sonogram? What's it called? Mammogram. Yes. But I don't like to, I don't know. And the thing is, this is really uncomfortable. You guys don't have the same thing when it comes to prostate cancer. Nobody's taking your balls and putting them in a grip and flattening them down. When you get a mammogram, you're like, whoosh, you're like, oh God, it's like they're ripping your tit off of your chest. You know what I mean? And then they flatten it. You're like, my tit doesn't go that flat. That's what it is. It's these two, and it's cold. So it's this cold, it's like these 2 metal, cold, flat things, and they come in and they press your titty flat so they can see everything in it.
If this was happening to dudes, they would find a new way within 3 minutes.
No, they just like, women, they have a high pain tolerance. That's fine. That's the best way to do it.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
The way you described it was one fucking hilarious, but also 2 horrifying.
It was, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
There's got to be a better way. It's 21st century.
Here's another thing U.S. ranks really high at: the number of hospitalizations for preventable causes.
Not surprising.
And the highest rates of avoidable deaths.
Yes.
So we do know from previous Commonwealth Fund surveys that adults in the U.S. experience greater affordability barriers. And that's what I was talking about when I was doing the insurance and going into situations where soldiers couldn't work and they weren't getting assistance. And then in Oregon and Washington, there's some pretty bare little towns where you find a house and they don't have a grocery store for 30 miles. You know what I mean? It's big country in Washington and Oregon. That's the Pacific Northwest, right? So increasing access to affordable health care and strengthening primary care systems are two of the most important challenges that we in the United States health care system experience, right? So our life expectancy ranks lowest amongst developed countries in life expectancies, while other countries' life expectancies have rising, because that's what we were talking about, because we have the technology, we have the knowledge, we know how the body functions, right? We don't have the excuses. So every other country that's developed and educated, their life expectancies are going up, but ours are going down. So I find quite curious, My
favorite punching bag for that one is Doritos.
Yeah.
Because you can point at anything on the ingredient label and be like, tell me what's wrong with this one right here.
Right.
The entire packing list on just pick any Doritos and you're just like, oh, okay. Well, what's wrong with corn? Be like, oh, don't get me started. Let's go with monocrop cultures.
Right, exactly. So I was able to really make progress in my health just by changing my diet, right?
Yes.
And I'm just one person. And it took a brain injury and a seizure disorder for me to say there's a better way, right? And so what would you think would motivate the American people to say there's got to be a better way? I'm sick of being sick, right?
You would think that most of them would have come to that conclusion, but I see a lot of people just loving the fucking easy way out.
Yes.
Like being told that like, oh, it's not your fault. It's this. And we have this easy fix for it.
Right.
Which is this little pill. Oh, this little pill is making... Then they don't tell them that like, oh, well, I got like this thing going on now when they come back for a checkup. And it's just like, oh, well, that's caused by that pill. No, they say, no, oh, well, we can take care of that with this. Like,
right.
It's just
continued
ease of...
Right.
Like, it's just the easiest solution. And a lot of people don't see it as... something that they can take care of, or they don't know.
Because they have been told since they were little that the doctor has their best interest in mind. Mm-hmm. And that's where we need to say, stop. The doctor has the pharmaceuticals company's best interest in mind. Or if it's a really good doctor, they can't do what they want to do because the insurance companies are going to stop them from the treatment that they think is most appropriate because it isn't most cost effective.
Yes.
So we've got good doctors that are working against the system that aren't getting anywhere. We've got some doctors that are a little bit more corrupt, that really like those golf outings and that, those nice bottles of liquor they get from the pharmaceutical companies. But where is the accountability? That's my issue. Where is the accountability, FDA? Why is it deregulated in this country? The pharmaceutical companies are deregulated in this country and they can charge whatever the fuck they want to charge. But in other countries, they have to follow the rules, right? Because those countries set up the rules and the laws and they watch these corporations.
And then those countries also pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the deal. Because our country doesn't watch the ingredients, allows the pharmaceuticals to charge what they want, we've limited the access to healthcare. We've limited the access to good food. There's food oases everywhere where you can only get prepackaged foods that's full of fucking... So we've got...
I think you meant food deserts, but I know what you're going for.
Food desert. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. But that's essentially where what is going on with why our health is declining. It's the combination between the pharmaceutical companies, the medical industrial complex, the FDA, the U.S. Agricultural Department, which approved the 72 ingredients that are found in the prepackaged foods that cause all these postmodern illnesses, including mental health, which lead to suicide. So I believe they're all working together and they're all getting a fucking kickback. That's my independent opinion. It's not backed up by anything, but just from the little research I've done, you can't find a list of the 72 ingredients. You find some here and some here. It's really hard. The only people that are really reporting on the differences between the American food and the European food are all our UK websites and our Britain's news websites, and you know what I mean? And the worldwide, the research worldwide is there. So when the FDA was, the New York Times reported on the FDA, right? And they were talking about, hey, what's going on with these 72 ingredients? So CBS News picked it up, and they interviewed the Food and Drug Administration, and they said, well, why is it, if the research is out there, why are we allowing these ingredients in the food? Because if you literally look at a Mountain Dew that's American and a Mountain Dew that's European, the ingredients aren't there that cause the postmodern illnesses, right? So it's doable.
I would still say it's still not good for you, though.
It's not. I mean, there's sugar and caffeine and all this other stuff, but there's no dyes, there's no preservatives, there's no, there's no high fructose corn syrup. You know what I mean? It's cane sugar, which causes problems too. But it's not a genetically modified corn.
Yes.
Right. So.
Now, I thought a lot of high fructose corn syrup wasn't actually from corn; it was from sugar beets.
High fructose corn syrup is a genetically modified corn.
What do sugar beets give us, and why do they use them so much in everything?
Sugar beets are just really sweet.
Oh, so it's just a sweetener?
Yeah, it's just a sweetener.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, high fructose corn syrup is if you see it, if you open up it's just milky, sugary. Yeah. They've genetically modified the corn, and it grows, and because when we eat genetically modified things, it affects our body, which causes cancers and whatnot, right? But like we were saying, there are 72 ingredients that are found in American prepackaged food that are banned in other countries, deemed unsafe for human consumption. This research is available worldwide. It is accessible to the average person who has internet connection, but like any toxic relationship, the FDA gaslights the American people by saying the U.S. Food and Drug Administration said all food additive required pre-market evaluation, and regulations require evidence that each substance is safe and its intended level of use before it may be added to foods. So why is it that my dumbass can get online and find these things and ingredients and the research behind it and cite very well-known, legit sources that these things are not healthy for us, but yet we just got gaslighted by the FDA, and they're like, oh, we research everything. What research? Where is it, FDA? Because as far as I'm concerned, FDA doesn't stand for Food and Drug Administration. It stands for fucking dead Americans.
That sounds reasonable. But yeah, you should be able to fucking submit a Freedom of Information Act request from them and find what their research is.
Exactly.
The question is, has anyone done that?
Yeah.
Can we?
Can we do it?
I think I know a lawyer.
So, and then to continue to gaslight us, they said this is FDA, post-approval, our scientists, which apparently are different scientists than worldwide renowned scientists, our scientists continue to review relevant new information to determine whether there are safety questions and whether the use of such substance is no longer safe, the agency added. So, as I was reading also, the doctors in the UK and in France and Spain, and they were saying less is best. So I know that prepackaged food and things that are easy sometimes are your only option. But I would just start. If it were me, I would start looking at ingredient lists and seeing less is best. So if you see high fructose corn syrup, or if you see sodium benzenite, or some of these other things, the EDTA, the Brahmin, the yellow 5, all of those things have been proven to cause disease in humans.
My favorite one, which is very common in supplements because it's a sugar-free ingredient, and it's acesulfame potassium.
Yeah.
And which is an artificial sweetener, which is pretty much banned in the European Union.
Absolutely.
But you buy most protein powders in America. So big ones are Muscle Milk, Muscle Tack. I can't think of any others, but all of those, you start reading the ingredients list, you're like, all right, whey protein powder, totally normal, blah, 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 whatever sweetener they get to make it taste like whatever cereal or whatever weird.
Yeah.
Literally, there's like cereal flavored ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
There's
just like
cannabis.
at the bottom, acesulfame potassium. It's just like, oh, okay, cool. Sugar-free, no carbohydrates.
Right.
And it's just like, well, look at what acesulfame potassium does to you.
Yes.
Look who's allowed to use it. And like most bodybuilding, quote unquote, bros or gym bros, young kids who are like addicted to that stuff.
Right.
Because they think it's going to get them jacked and looking like, no, it's no longer Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore.
Right. Somebody.
Whoever is
the
person that they all look up to now. It's like, dude, you got to take massive amount of steroids to do that.
Right.
They don't realize that also. It's just like,
yeah, absolutely.
let me help you out here, bud.
I know, and that's just it, is that things get labeled and marketed in a way where we think it's healthy. That's why I always, when I was working with customers, when I worked at Natural Grocers, I was the vitamins manager, the vitamins buyer. And so when they came in, I had to do a lot of education. I had the reps that came in that I worked with. They actually made me go upstairs, and whenever I had new products in, I had to learn about vitamins. That's how I know so much about like magnesium and all this shit, right?
Yeah.
So, it just blew my mind that, folks didn't know, because they thought that our government was doing the best that they could do by protecting us against chemicals and additives and ingredients that would be harmful. But when we would break things down, we were like, they're kids that had autism, and so we said, hey, get the red dyes, and they were buying organic and buying things that didn't have red dyes. And you get Quaker instant oatmeal with strawberries and cream in America, it's got red dyes. You get it in Europe, it doesn't. So we know the corporations are capable of making the food safer, right? We know they're capable of it. They've shown it in other countries. We don't have the regulations, and we do not have the FDA with the balls to actually make things right for the American people. I said, because the FDA is not forcing them to do so. It's cheaper to produce a product that lasts longer on the shelf. If the FDA is a watchdog, it's the kind that hides behind the couch, doesn't bark, and only comes out for treats. That's our FDA.
So it's not only the FDA, it's like all those companies and the things that are making that
product.
Multinational corporations.
Yes.
They are on the stock market.
Yes.
If you want them to actually get to change, you have to go fuck your profits for a little bit.
Yeah.
They're going to die in the short term, so who cares about this quarter or next quarter?
Right.
But if you change the profits, like, you'll be a longer profitable company.
Right.
So you need people on the board going, fuck that shit. You
yes.
need people buying that stock and voting on it and going, fuck that shit.
Right.
You need their stock to tank a little bit and for them to ask that question and go, why? So Stop buying the fucking products, people.
Stop buying Twix. Stop buying the crap. Stop buying the cereal. Stop buying the things. Go to your go to Wegmans. Go to the organic section. I know it's more expensive, but that's how we're gonna get the prices down. If everybody is buying organic and everybody is insisting that we stop poisoning our children and poisoning our citizens.
Not all organic things, I could argue, are a good idea.
No,
like
no.
bananas.
Right.
So bananas are clones.
Yeah.
So they put the quote unquote organic ones in the center, like miles inside.
Yeah.
And then they just absolutely nuke everything around them with the pesticides and herbicides and all that shit.
Yeah.
So that nothing can get through to the organic ones in the fucking center. And then everything outside of there is just annihilated with
The
fucking
pesticides. Yeah. No, I mean, not even, I'm just saying eating clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Organic can be a little, I mean, everybody's got their issues. All the shit's got their issues, you know. A lot of times people are like, oh, are they really organic or do they just pay the certifications to the U.S. Agricultural Department or the FDA?
Well, the USDA and the FDA don't have shit to do with it. These are third-party companies. Like
Yeah.
Oregon Tilth, I think, is one of the bigger ones that I look for. And I'm like, all right, they're pretty trustworthy.
Right, exactly. And that's what it is. Now it's dependent on like the reputation of the companies. You know what I mean? Like, because we have to watchdog our own shit, you know, because the FDA is not going to do it. So what do you think red dye number 40 does to you?
Fucks your shit up. I'm not sure, actually.
It is in just about every colorful thing you give to a child. Every piece of candy in this country has red dye number 40. You get some special ice cream thing that's got red dye in it. It's usually red dye number 40. Red dye number 40 causes ADHD.
That would explain me.
Yes. And it's a carcinogen. So it also causes cancer. It's commonly used in many OTC and prescribed medications as well. So there you go.
That's the red coating on ibuprofen.
Yes, absolutely. Another one that's real famous, it's in our Mountain Dew, is yellow number 5.
Which at a young age I heard kills spermie and testosterone.
It does.
Yes.
It does. It's also known as tartazine. Tartazine is an organic sodium salt. When ingested, tartazine is reduced to sulfonylic acid. Sulfonylic acid is often causes allergic reactions, including hives, asthma, skin problems, eczema. Those most sensitive to dyes and yellow number 5s often also have an aspirin allergy, indicating a genetic susceptibility. Excuse me. So basically, I have a friend right now, and she's really struggling. Her little 2-year-old has eczema, and she's struggling with it. And she's cleaning up the diet, and she's now in the rabbit hole that I got in after my brain injury, going, why? You know, because, you know, dye yellow number 5 is in everything.
Yeah.
Eczema is something a 70-year-old retired dude that plays too much golf out in the sun and drinks too many cocktails gets.
Yeah.
A 2-year-old should never have eczema unless they're getting something in her diet that is causing it. And yellow dye number 5 is in fucking everything. Remember what we said in the beginning of the podcast? Look at your skin.
Yes.
If your skin is messed up, then something is either lacking in your diet or there's something in your diet that's causing it, right?
Yes.
So, some of the more famous things that are banned by the European Union, but we think is totally okay to put in our food. Potassium bromate. You know anything about that?
No, but I know bromated things are not very good for you.
Yeah, well, it's put in like doughs and stuff like that and breads. It's
okay, so that's the difference between French bread in France and French bread here.
Right.
Which is like, well, how come the French can just eat that all day and look fabulous and smoke cigarettes? I'm like, there's a lot of differences in the small scale ingredients.
Exactly. And you know what potassium bromate does to you?
Not a clue in the world.
It disrupts your nervous system. Think about all your friends that have neuralgia or have issues with their nervous system or have, their feet falls. They're 35 years old. They sit down for 20 minutes and their feet fall asleep. A lot of that has to do with the potassium bromate that's in all of the bread and doughs. If you want it to look really white, that's what it does. It's a whitener.
So would that be in pastas too?
Yes, sir.
God, those bastards.
So BHA and BHT, that's a fun one. That's a preservative that when studied showed long-term exposure to high doses is toxic in mice and rats. But what it does for humans, it causes liver, thyroid, and kidney problems. How many people that you know that have liver, thyroid, and kidney problems?
A lot.
I have kidney problems and liver problems, and it also affects lung function and blood coagulation. That's a hard one. Can you say it? Coagulation.
Coagulate. I know it's the ability to coagulate your blood, so that would be your platelets.
Yes. So BHA and BHT, which is found in a shit ton of food, is really bad for us. Brominated vegetable oil.
Vegetable oils in general, I've gone down that rabbit hole.
Yes.
Vegetable oils, brominated vegetable oils, industrial seed oils. That one itself is an entire... Holy fuck. If you start looking at those and actually trying to cut those out in a meaningful capacity, you're going, Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
I can barely eat foods.
Yeah, exactly. It's used to keep our flavors from separating in soft drinks. So this is one that's found in a lot of soft drinks. It's found in Mountain Dew. It's found in Coke.
Vegetable oils. We're back on this one, just so everyone's on the same page.
Brominated vegetable oils. Yeah, thank you. It feels like we're just having a conversation. I forget that we're actually casting it.
Yes.
This is our Sunday. This is what me and Steve do on Sunday.
Hey, how are you going to die today?
So it's flame retardant in plastic and furniture. It can build up in the body and potentially lead to memory loss, skin, and nerve problems. So that's another one. Are you starting to see a theme here? Ooh, this one's kind of fun to say. Ractopamine. Ractopamine.
It sounds like something that kills rats.
Yeah, well, it is a feed additive given to animals to promote leanness that's linked to heart problems in humans. So this is an agricultural thing. We don't necessarily eat it, but we give it to
the things we eat.
We give it to the things we eat. So it's going to be found in our meats and stuff. Okay, titanium dioxide.
Which is what makes your toothpaste white.
Yes, and it is an artificial color, but it is a carcinogen, which means it causes cancer. All right, oxodecarbonamide. You got to look at this one. I'm reading from a list because I smoke a lot of pot.
Aziodicarbonamide.
Steve's smarter than I am, so that's why I had to pull him in on this.
I drank myself out of a chemistry course in college. I was seriously trying to go for a chemistry degree after the Marine Corps, and basically I couldn't do math at a reasonable way, so I was just like, oh crap. I fucking suck at math, but I was like, I can do all the chemistry theory, and I can read the words, and
yes,
I'm pretty good at deciphering scientific words.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm like, that actually helped me go down the rabbit hole of
yes.
things when I was looking up ingredients when I was much younger, and now able to look at them and recognize I don't want to fucking eat that.
I don't want to eat that. I know what that does.
Why I can say acesulfamate potassium so easily.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other ones too where I can look at it and sound it out, and I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, fuck that.
Well, that is, it's a very impressive word, the acetylcarbonamide, but it only usually just causes allergies, but it's a bleaching agent. Mm-hmm. We got a potassium iodate, and that is a form of iodine, and that can interfere with thyroid function. All right, my favorite, the dyes.
Now, wait, hold on. Is that the iodine that they add to iodized salt, which you do need iodine in your diet, though, for?
Right, but it's a potassium iodate, so it's a bastardized form of iodine.
But is that the one they used in salt, or do they
No.
use pure iodine?
It's a different kind of iodine and salt. We'll look it up.
Okay, because I know iodine is supposed to prevent gout, I think is the one.
Yes. Yeah, tart cherry juice and everything else also prevents gout. Tart cherry juice is a good one for gout. If you ever get gout, go to your supplement store, get you some tart cherry juice. And stop eating them cured meats.
To everyone outside of Chautauqua County, they're not going to fucking care. But up in Westfield, there's so it used to be the Welch's Grape Juice Factory, and now it's just like a fruit juice co-op.
Ooh.
So my mom's bought tart cherry juice up there before.
It's good shit.
Tart cherry juice concentrate.
Yeah.
And like they have the local grape juice up there too.
Yeah, it's a form of potassium iodate is a form of iodine. I don't think it's the iodine that we actually put in salt that we need. Okay, it's just a form of it. But blue 1 are the dyes. Blue 1, yellow 5, and 6. These are artificial colors. They are not allowed in any of the foods in the European Union. They're in just about everything from candies to cupcakes to cookies here in the United States. They are a carcinogen, which means cancer.
Yep.
It means cancer.
It means guess which cancer you're getting.
Right. And then, because there are too many people in this country with cancer, and when you go through the list of ingredients, and cancer is on a rise, you would think with all the stuff that we know that we would be nipping this shit in the butt with all the research, but it's getting worse, right? And I can't help but think, if all of these ingredients are carcinogens and they're found in our prepackaged food, and the United States eats 30% of prepackaged food, and our prepackaged food sucks compared to, you know what I mean, as far as your health is concerned, because it has all these carcinogens,
Yep.
Call me crazy, feels like a link.
Well, there's also the hormone disruptors too, and then the artificial hormones that some foods have too.
Exactly, which also can cause a lot of disease in the body, from thyroid problems to menstruating when you're 9 years old to, you know what I mean?
My favorite one to tell people?
Yeah.
People who love whiskey, I fucking blow their mind with this one. It is the highest concentrated form of plant estrogen that you can introduce into your body.
Whiskey?
Whiskey.
No wonder I was an alcoholic.
Yeah, but no, that's why men who are older who drink a fuckload of whiskey grow what I like
to call man tits.
Commonly known, I call it bitch tits. But
bitch tits. Well, you are a Marine. Come on now.
Of course, I'm gonna go with the most vulgar, accurate, and definitive one that defines it the most vulgar.
Well, that's why we love you. That's why we love you so much.
No, yeah, you look at that and it's just plant-based estrogen can't cross into the human body. Yes, it fucking
absolutely can. Absolutely can.
And I can prove this from the cancer medical industry.
Right.
When a lady gets hormone-induced breast cancer,
right,
one of the first things they tell her is stop eating soy.
Stop eating soy. Yeah, and stop eating genetically modified soy.
Yeah.
Because soy is, I eat soy, but I eat organic, non-genetically modified soy, right? So, and I eat soy because I'm in my 40s, and oh God, I know, perimenopause, right? So our hormones go through this flux before we go through menopause, which nobody fucking told me about until I was really in a bad situation. I was about to fight somebody. And then I was like, maybe there's something wrong with my hormones. I'm feeling a bit homicidal.
That's not normal.
I know, right? I'm a Buddhist, for crying out loud. It's like I pray for peace. I gotta show it in my own life. God damn it, integrity.
This world coming to where I can't kill people, but I have to eat this bullshit food.
Right, exactly.
That's exactly. One of the weird, ironic dichotomies of
right,
life.
Exactly. Only corporations can kill us. We can't kill each other.
And they're allowed to do it slowly. Mm-hmm. And then they go, but they did it by their own hand. They could have eaten something else.
Right.
Fuck you and your lawyers.
Yeah. And I mean, also, on the other hand, because we know that plants affect hormones, there are women that suffer because their estrogen levels go down. So when I was a vitamins manager and buyer, right, I would suggest wild jams to bring their estrogen levels up. Now, I took wild jams, but my estrogen level wasn't the problem. It was my progesterone, right? So when I took wild jams, I would like, a napkin would blow in the wind and I would start bawling because it was so beautiful. Because my estrogen, they were so high, right? I was like, everything is fine and beautiful. And I'm already a crier. You know what I mean? We don't need, I watch the right catfish and I'm fucking crying. You know what I mean? So, I watch the right garbage TV. I'm like, oh God, but she lost 400 pounds. But yeah, so, I really do feel like we are in a health crisis, just to kind of wrap things up for us, that we are in a health crisis, right? And we have a lot of control over it, more than we believe. Yeah. But we have to stop trusting the medical industrial complex, and we have to stop trusting the FDA is going to make the right decision for us. And we have to start doing our own research, right? When I was researching after my brain injury and I was noticing certain foods were triggering my seizures, that's when I removed red dye number 40 out of my fucking diet.
Did you look at it and go, okay, it's this one, and this one. What do they have in common? Or was it like, oh, it's this one, I'm just going to remove that?
I noticed when I would eat something that was prepackaged with red dye in it that I would have more propensity to have a seizure that day, and it would cause me to have some kind of headaches and jitteriness. It never did that before when I had a healthy brain. But I'm thinking to myself, is this what it's doing to my broken brain? What are these dyes doing to people who aren't suspecting it because their brains are healthy? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it was almost a gift. It was a gift. You look at the things that happened in your life and the fact that I survived a really horrendous accident and was able to find my way back home, and in a way where now I inspire myself. Maybe that sounds egotistical, but I really lived and ate until my brain injury like an 8-year-old with poor parental supervision, right? And then after my brain injury, I was able to find a way that was healthy and able to inspire others to eat healthy, because I feel like had I not gone through that horrendous brain injury and the seizure disorder and all of those things, I would never have discovered this. And that's why I think this podcast is so important, that we talk about stuff like this, because I didn't know.
Yes.
And so no judgment to anybody who this is like new fucking information to. Because I lived 40 years of my life and didn't know about this shit. You know what I mean? So, and so I'm so grateful that you wanted to do a podcast. And I mean, we just scratched the iceberg. I mean, the tip of the iceberg. And I know you have had other guests on who would probably want to chime in to this topic, So I would love to come back and kind of talk a little bit more about, some of the things that corporations are doing for solutions, because that's kind of the other part of it. What companies, corporations, individuals are helping with the solutions to get us out of this bullshit fuckery. Mm-hmm. That's all it is fuckery.
It is a lot of fuckery.
It's relentless fuckery.
It's bent over a barrel fuckery.
Yeah, man, I don't mind being bent over a barrel. Just buy me fucking dinner first. And,
the way we described it in the Marine Corps is we called it the great big weenie of the Marine Corps, which is always fucking you. And sometimes it's dry and sometimes it's a sandpaper condom with alcohol lube.
Yeah. Well, did you want to, did you have anything else to say about this stuff?
I could probably go for like a half hour alone on just industrial seed oils.
Yeah.
But basically, the short and curly of it is that so there's 3 main macronutrients you need.
Yes.
Proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Those are like the macro, the large nutrients. Everything else is a micronutrient.
Right.
You can get nitty gritty from there. But the way that your body uses each one from a 10,000 foot levels, protein is used to rebuild muscle and tissue.
Yes.
Carbohydrates is an energy source.
Yes.
And fats are what your body uses to convert into hormones, which signals what the rest of your body is going to do with things.
Right.
And it's also pretty good for your brain too. So up until about 150 years ago, industrial seed oils were not part of a human or animal diet in any form.
Right.
So like putting them in to our bodies, which are still about 2,000 years removed from any advancements to newer foods.
Right.
It has no idea what the fuck to do with them. It's just like looks at it and goes, I don't know what that is. So that's your brominated vegetable oils, your hydrogenated vegetable oils. Most of those seed oils, like it's still questionable whether sunflower seed oil and peanut oils are or aren't. So it depends on their processing.
Right. Right.
And it's just like one of those things where it's like, okay, so my body doesn't know what to do with that.
Right.
So then that comes back down to what we were talking to before this, where we're calling out McDonald's for all the bullshit they put in their food.
Right.
What did McDonald's use for their fries prior to switching to industrial seed oils for the frying oil?
Was it canola?
No, it was beef tallow before that.
Beef tallow. Oh, that's right, because that's why McDonald's
has that flavor. Which everyone goes, what is this flavor? And so they added these additives to make it taste like it was still fried in fucking beef tallow.
Yeah, and they call it beef essence. That's why, as a vegan, I can't eat McDonald's French fries.
Well, I just don't eat them because I don't like McDonald's.
Right. Well,
and it's
the devil. It's the fucking devil.
New McDonald's thing where it's just like, back when I was younger and I was into like the bodybuilding bro stuff.
Right.
I didn't realize you needed tons of fucking steroids to
get above
180 pounds.
Right.
Because your body has a natural limit.
Yeah.
Is you read like the articles and stuff and it's just like, okay, this is what you do for workouts and this is what you eat. And like you get these programs and stuff and it's just like work out in the morning and then you can have the McDonald's Egg McMuffin is considered a healthy breakfast for bodybuilding. And I'm like, what?
That's disgusting.
I'm like,
that's disgusting.
One, it tastes like shit. So why would you call that your morning treat?
Right.
These articles. And I'm just like, it fucking tastes horrible. And I'm just like,
right.
No.
Right. Exactly. But that's marketing. That's this, that's that. That's the other thing. It's the only thing it needs to come from a grassroots situation where we're educating people about eating better. And it sounds nerdy. It sounds like this, like people need to be eating better. It's not about anything else but survival.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't want you to get cancer and have a postmodern illness that you could have avoided, which we are number one. The United States is number one in people dying of avoidable diseases.
Don't you want to have a higher quality of life? Even
Thank
if
you.
It's just 1% better
Thank
today
you.
or this week than it was last week.
Thank you. And to all our listeners out there, I just want to let you know, if you're feeling like you got a lot of nerve pain and you're thinking about, as we're talking about these prepackaged foods, you're like, wow, dude, I do have some nerve pain. Just start doing some magnesium. Calm is a really good one. You can find it at most grocery stores. It's just a little powder magnesium, a little like 8-ounce drink before you go to bed. You'll be able to sleep. You'll be able to shit. Your nervous system will feel better. Magnesium is one of those ones that's lacking in our water now because we have all that filtered water. We don't have the electrolytes in the water. So people are walking around dehydrated even though they're drinking water, but it's filtered water. Magnesium is one of those ones that helps the nervous system. You know what I mean? So I'm giving you a little bit of a solution. If you're feeling like you have nerve pain, try magnesium for 2 weeks. You're going to want to try to find me and kiss me on the lips because you're going to feel so good.
And if you're a good looking lady, she'll take it.
I'll take it. I might even take you out to dinner. I mean, let's be honest. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little knowledge, a little tidbit before they also make magnesium gummies. Just make sure you don't have the dyes and all the crap, because that's the other thing is the supplement companies that have less integrity are putting in the things that are banned, So you want, even in the vitamins and supplement world, you got to look for clean material, clean ingredients. Less is best. Less is best. You want to get things that say 8 or less ingredients or da-da-da-da-da,
Is there any really good companies we can point people in the direction for that you know for a fact of, like Nature Made? Are they good?
Yeah. Well, I would, yeah, there's a lot of different companies that are pretty good. Like, as far as like, you just got to look at the ingredients, like the fake burgers. There's an Impossible Burger and there's a Beyond Meat burger, right? There is canola oil in the Beyond Beef, which makes me a little irritated. But other than that, it's way cleaner than the Impossible Burger.
Okay.
Right? So you kind of got like, but canola oils, just like you were saying, is one of those oils that's just really sucks for your body.
It does. I mean, sometimes it's just like, I go for the 80-20 rule on a lot of things.
Yeah.
For food, where it's like, if I'm doing 80% good, but like if I want to treat myself to like ice cream or something, like fuck it, why not?
Right.
Like I know there's sugar in there. Who cares?
Who cares?
Pretty clean, but like sometimes I want something, and then there's like it's in the list. Canola oil or an industrial seed oil is in the list. But it's like, you know what? Like life is about enjoyment, and this is going to give me some mouth flavor enjoyment.
Right. What is the Japanese? They have a Japanese word. Is it Hermione that
umami? UMAMI.
When you eat when you're not hungry, but your mouth is lonely.
Oh no, I'm thinking of umami is like all the senses of flavors together at one and in unison.
Japanese language is so beautiful. Yeah, they have a word, and I can't remember what the word is, but it means I'm eating not because I'm hungry, but because my mouth is lonely.
That's like depression eating a whole thing of ice cream.
Right. I'm eating because my mouth is lonely. I haven't had a girlfriend in a while. My mouth is real lonely. Let me tell you. Any lesbians out there, you know how to get a hold of Steve. I would like a picture, though. Please send a picture.
We are vetting everyone first. You have to talk to me. I have to make sure you're not crazy.
I've been to,
I can spot crazy.
Woo! Listen, I used to be real crazy. I've cleaned up quite a bit. So I know I got some bad karma. That's why we got to go through a third party.
Even I'm not perfect.
Yeah, right. Hey.
Spotting crazy. Sometimes you can get past me, and I'm like,
I know.
God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, I know. That's why I got to have friends to help me out, because I'd rather be single than be in a relationship that's wrong, right?
Yes.
So, because I really like hanging out with myself. You know what I mean? People are like, "You're single." I mean, I said, "Yeah, I'm single. I got a roommate, I got a dog, and I got a vibrator. What else do I fucking need?"
Good pair of shoes to go around.
Yeah, good pair of shoes. I got that too. You know what I mean? I think you get in where you fit in, and you shouldn't rush that shit, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Get where if it's right, it's right. But I don't force feed cold oatmeal. Especially if it's got
That's a really interesting saying.
You've never heard that saying before?
No.
Yeah, it's it's an old saying. Don't force feed cold oatmeal. It's usually about unrequited love. Is how they use that.
Never heard that one.
Yeah.
I am fucking taking that one and looking it up and using it on things.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, let's call it then.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you having me on, Steve-O. It was such a pleasure, and thank you so much for bringing this topic to light and having the courage to talk about it.
That's all I have is courage, and we'll do this again later.